Hello there, my name is Caden and welcome to Rhythm Reviews, one of many YouTube shows with too broad of a topic. Today we'll be looking at the Impossible game. I will be reviewing the Steam version, which is what I have. If you don't have the game, there's a demo version made with Flash at flukedude.com/theimpossiblegame. I will say the price for the Steam version at the end of this review. The Impossible game is a game released on Steam on May 8th, 2014 by developer Grip Games and publisher FlukeDude. The game is made up of gameplay where you dodge obstacles by jumping. If you've seen Geometry Dash, this is the same gameplay as the Cube mode. I should also probably mention that Geometry Dash came after the Impossible game. So no GD fans, this is not a ripoff. Features include but aren't limited to a level editor, practice mode, and that's all I got. Yeah, this game doesn't have much to offer, but a lot of games do and they do well, so I can safely say that the part that matters is the gameplay. As I said before, you are a square jumping over obstacles. Obstacles include spikes, pits, and sides of blocks. Notice I said sides. You can stand on top of blocks and use them as platforms. The object is to get to the end of the level like normal in every rhythm game. One thing I should mention is that you can only map one button to each action for each device. Devices being the mouse, keyboard, and gamepad. So unlike a Do-Fi, which will accept any keyboard key, this will only accept space as jump, or whatever you have jump mapped to. This might make sense because there are add and remove flag buttons, but why not have all buttons except for the add and remove flag buttons jump instead? At this point I would talk about accuracy, however this game does not apply to accuracy. The game is not synced to audio most of the time, at least in official levels. Technically this means it isn't a rhythm game, but shut up, I review what I want. Some music games have challenges you can choose to achieve, such as collectibles like coins and GD, and gems in game that shall not be named. Or maybe even perfects that you can get by doing something perfectly in the game. Unfortunately this has nothing of the sort, which sucks because a lot of the replay value is lost here. Practicing, however, does have features for this game. There's an optional practice mode that lets you place checkpoints, aka flags, anywhere in the level, and if you die you'll go back there. I have some major issues with this, however. Firstly, flags require you to add them. There's no option for automatic flags. This means you often forget to place checkpoints. Secondly, by default flags can be made with a right click, which means that if you are using the mouse, it can be placed accidentally. Even if you say to remove the last checkpoint with middle click, it won't remove the first checkpoint and therefore you'll have to restart the run. However, this can be fixed with mapping controls, I'm pretty sure. Thirdly, and finally, the music is changed to the practice theme, which is really annoying for people who listen to the music to remember the patterns coming up in the level. It would have been slightly annoying to have the music start playing in the middle of the song every time you die, but it is easier to deal with. To be fair though, this is pretty nitpicky considering that the game is not supposed to be a rhythm game, it's more of a platformer. Overall, I would have gone with a section system where the level is split into sections and beating a section places a checkpoint. This encourages players to actually beat parts of a level to understand them instead of just placing a checkpoint every chance they get. Next up is Modifiers, which the game also doesn't have, which is bad considering modifiers bring an extremely high amount of replayability, even more than challenges. This means the game has no way of speeding up or slowing down levels, and no way to make it harder, no way to make it easier, and no ways of playing differently at all. All levels are unlocked by default and play differently. There are 4 levels bundled with the game and an old version of level 1 called Original Level, so there's 5 total. Fire Aura and Original Level are the first level and don't have any special gimmicks. Chaos Fantasy has a flip effect in some sections. Heaven has different block animations in some sections, such as falling and rising blocks. Phased has no special gimmick as well, but is the hardest level bundled in the game. The levels are named after songs they're made for, minus Original Level, which is an old version of Fire Aura. The music choices are pretty fine for a game like this, considering it was made in 2014. The music having typical classic Newgrounds music is fine and works well. The difficulty curve is actually pretty fine. They're ordered by difficulty minus Original Level and progressively get harder at a good pace. This game does not have a lot of levels. This game does support customs, however. customs can be made with the level editor. The level editor, however, is a separate game basically, so in order to open it, you have to close the original game if you have it open, click play on the Impossible games on Steam, and choose the level editor on the pop-up. Which is fine, but this would have been better to have just as a built-in thing. That being said, the editor is There seems to be no in-editor tutorial, so you kind of have to figure out things yourself, which caused me to not know what the heck the buttons about marks do. But basically, you can change the background, add items with left click, remove with right click, etc. There's a jump indicator that you can make by using control and left click, which will place lines showing where the player will end up if they jump from around there, which is very helpful. Problem is though that there's no way to see where they end up while not jumping, which is pretty important considering sometimes you want to make it so that you have to not jump to live. I also could not find a way to add effects in the editor, such as the upside down thing. There was a custom level in the game's files which had an effect, but I saw no objects in the editor indicating this. On top of all this, there's no autosave, or "are you sure you want to quit" message as far as I know. You can just press the X on the window and you will instantly lose your level if you didn't save. Once you make a level, you can open the actual game and go to the level select and select custom level. A pop-up will come up where you choose the level folder, and that's it. In conclusion, the Steam version of this game is $4.99 US dollars, which is okay I guess, but it just isn't enough content and too many issues for me to highly recommend it. It's fun for like a day, but that's it. At this point of the video, I'd normally rank the game in comparison to other games I've reviewed, but this is the first episode, so it's going to be number 1 anyways. That being said, I rate the Impossible game with a rating of a flash game with extra steps and a price, or a 2 out of 5. Thank you for watching. Please comment down below your thoughts on this episode, the game, and or what game you would like me to review next. Bye.